So we've talked about the transformational habit of health for the last 3 months, and that was daily essentials, detoxing, targeted health, and body composition. And so we're going to review a little bit, and then we're going to jump into the final section of this series.
Which is targeted care and direct aid.
Exactly. So you guys know me, and you know pretty much what I do, and Wes and his wife, Allie. So we've all been learning together.
Yeah, and we've made it a point to include some guest speakers in our presentations, and it helps quite a bit. So you'll hear today from Stephen Horn and Dr. Jay Van Heuvel and one surprise guest. So the next slide we've got is a short video for you we'd like for you to watch and listen with us. It's only 1 minute and 25 seconds, so enjoy this video.
What if you could transform your health and wellness starting today? Americans spend trillions every year because of poor health. More than $3 trillion just on obesity, heart disease, and diabetes. And yet these monsters claim more and younger victims every year. The modern medical system has no real solutions. Costly pharmaceutical and surgical treatments don't solve the underlying problems, often causing more health issues. Thankfully, a new, enlightened health era has dawned. Millions are discovering what natural healers have known for centuries. Namely, our rampant chronic health problems don't just happen. They are created by how we eat, drink, think, and live. The only real solution? Increase awareness, inspire positive change. Today is your day, and this is your invitation. Discover nature's remedies. Live nature's lifestyle. Engage now. Start becoming your best healthy self today.
Such a great little video. We really appreciate that one. And it is your day today to join us in learning about direct aid. So here is the Parthenon for the NSP pillars for natural or optimal health. And this has been the basis of our series over the last 3 months, and we're wrapping up today. So we've covered daily essentials and the 7 nutrients that go along with those, cleansing and detoxing. Body composition was actually included in our cleansing and detoxing section, and today we're talking about targeted care. So we want to review briefly from the first 2 series a couple of key principles for you. Take it away, Mom.
So the 7 daily essentials we should all seek to replace and replenish. Did you know that over 85% of Americans lack these 7 essential nutrients? And that creates the silent killer, inflammation, and how to prevent it. And then there's 6 revealing questions and the answers that will set you free for good health. The 5 things every cell in your body needs to thrive and not just survive, as we say.
Yeah, so if you don't know the answer to those questions, we're going to send out the replay to the whole series after today's webinar.
Oh, good.
And you'll be able to go back and review those.
So here are the 7 daily essentials: vitamins and minerals, essential fats, good fats, antioxidants, fiber, enzymes, probiotics, and proteins. This is on the habit of health, and it's just important. And we want to first look for those things in our food and then supplement where we need to supplement. So cleansing and detoxing. We do live in a very toxic world. So it's important to really keep our inside clean and green. Wes has got on his green shirt today. So what the microbiome is and what it does is what we talked about. 10 reasons it's time to detox. The superstar detox. And the hint was it's on the right side of your body. And then 5 amazing products that produce proven, repeatable results. So some 10 reasons. So tell us, are you experiencing any of these? Look at those. The ones that I hear from the most are low energy. What can I do for more energy? And mood swings, and with what's going on in our world, it's easy to get moody. And we focused on our immune system the last 6 months, and we should do that always. And then we want to also keep our weight as balanced and in good place as possible.
Yeah, tall tale sign for a need to detox is that number 10 too, Mom. Skin problems and allergies. Well, that's just your body is really talking to you when you break out in rashes and eczema and things like that. It's easy to see that symptom and apply the root cause.
And thanks for saying that, because anything to do with skin has to do with that liver. That was your secret a while ago.
Ah, interesting.
So your goals are to cleanse and detox and reboot that microbiome. So we want to eat good food, and we want to supplement where needed. We said that. Good water. The organs will do their job if we support those organs. And nutrition prevents medicine.
Great. So that's quick reminders of the first two parts of the series. And if you remember, we talked about the ABCD natural health as well. And we've invited Stephen Horn to join us today by recording to kind of give us a quick review of his idea of the ABCDs.
So the big trick is how we get people into the habit of doing things in a preventive way to keep themselves healthy and not just wait till they get sick. And so that's kind of the idea of what concept of habit of health is making a habit of health. And what we're trying to teach people is the difference between treating disease and building health. When people treat disease, they're oriented at symptomatic relief, but that is not necessarily the thing that's going to keep them healthy in the long run. If we improve our overall health, then we are going to avoid getting sick as often, and we're going to feel better overall. And it's something that we certainly need to try to educate people on, because treating diseases is not a very effective way to approach being healthy. In fact, it leads in some cases to some real misunderstandings of how the body works. Activate really refers to helping the flow of vital energy in the body. The concept of the vitality or the vital force is central to traditional Western medicine. What was called in traditional Western medicine the vital force is pretty much the same idea of what the Chinese call qi, and the Ayurvedic calls prana, and the Native Americans call spirit. It's the idea that there is a life energy within all of us, and it is the life energy that does the healing. Now, build, of course, is getting the nutrients in. Now, part of that is encouraging people to eat whole natural foods, and we all know how well that goes over with most people. Most people don't want to have to change their diets, although I think it's important to try to encourage them to. I do, even if I feel it's my responsibility to get them to do, but also to again use appropriate nutritional supplements. And these again are the basic supplements that are in the habit of health: vitamins and minerals, antioxidants, omega-3s, probiotics, fiber, and protein. And I think all of these are very good choices for basic supplements for people to consider. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on cleansing. We talk about detoxification a lot in our webinars, but it's basically two things. One is helping the body clean itself out, and the other part is avoiding toxins and chemicals in the environment. Now, the last principle here is, of course, the idea of the direct aids. The Brilliant Body Assessments come in nice, tear pads. They're another thing that's really easy to use and really a good tool to determine what body systems you want to use.
So that was Stephen Horn, who actually developed this Brilliant Body Assessment and helped NSP develop its approach to targeted care and direct aid. So as a surprise today, we're going to make this available to you as a handout. This Brilliant Body Assessment is a way to work with a loved one or a client or someone that may be interested in using natural herbs and vitamins and helping them kind of answer a few key questions and getting a score that point out a particular body system that may need extra support or building in the case that we saw with the ABCDs. So I will actually share this in the chat window in just a moment, but it will also be in an email follow-up to everyone on this call today. So be looking out for that Brilliant Body Assessment. Let's move right into talking about the body systems and what targeted care really means, Mom.
Okay. So the goal is for all our systems to work together, and that provides homeostasis, which is perfect balance. The general public doesn't always identify outward symptoms, outcomes from inward root causes. So my example of that is if you had a leak in your roof in the middle of a room, and when you started looking for that leak, it was coming from an outside wall and running toward the middle of the room. So that's just an example of the fact that symptoms aren't always what needs treating. So we introduce the body systems. We're going to use the dis-ease tree. We're going to help with the health assessment in empowering people to gain insight on their health. And then we're going to review the system packs and the 5 health concerns for men and women. So the body system approach, like musicians that make up an orchestra, the systems all must work in harmony to stay healthy. So when one system gets to struggling or is out of balance, the other systems are called on to make up the difference. That's called innate wisdom. If you do this long enough, the body can't help but show symptoms and eventually dis-ease. Yeah, Wes, do this one.
Yeah, very simple. Just real quick look at the body systems here on your left-hand side. And we're going to be talking today about many of the systems that are included here, but primarily we're going to match some of these systems with the top 5 health concerns as we get further into this. But you do have basically 10 systems that Nature Sunshine uses. I think they're up to 11 now, actually. It's important to kind of get that same understanding that these work in a perfect balance and harmony together. They make up many of your organs in your body and your different systems. And it's important that when one is weaker, the other ones will be called on to help support that one until that balance is retained. So these are the systems that we'll be talking about. And it'll be really good information here going into these next few slides. So just as the health of a tree depends on the health of the soil in which it's grown, think about our health and our tissues. They depend on the composition of your biological terrain, which is your soil. And that's made up of body fluids, your lymph system, and your blood. So take a look at this tree and this slide here for a second, and let's talk about this for a moment. And we'd certainly open the floor to questions while we're looking at this one, because this is a very important slide. So to help people understand how to prevent root causes of disease, not treat symptoms, but treat the root causes, let's look at this diagram called the disease tree, trademarked by Stephen Horn in the early 1980s. Root causes of disease have an adverse effect on our biological terrain. There's 4 things that basically we look at when we look at disease and root causes: nutritional deficiencies, toxicity or an overload of toxins, mental and emotional stress. That one may surprise you, but that is a big indicator. And also the last, physical trauma, which is a fall or a trip or something that you've broken a bone or got a scratch or a cut. But think about this, just as there's only one trunk of the tree, the biological terrain represents the whole picture of a person's health. So let's look at the picture for a second. You've got soil, and notice that the deficiencies and the root causes are within the roots in the constitution of that soil. Your blood and your biological terrain is like the same approach. It's drawing from that soil to be either healthy or unhealthy. The trunk of the tree there is your biological terrain. So think about that flow of your veins and your cardiovascular system carrying all that good, healthy blood and lymphatic system throughout your body. And then the limbs, well, they represent the body systems. And when all the limbs are working in harmony together, then you'll have very few of the symptoms or the diseases that are represented in the leaves. So it's important to kind of understand that the biological terrain is what we're focused on in natural health, which is the soil. And that then that helps support the trunk of the tree, our bodies, and our systems so that we have fewer symptoms or disease. So we refer to this disease tree quite often in our conversations with regards to making that correlation. Is there any questions on that or comments anyone would like to make? Lynn, does that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
Sure, it is a good diagram.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this next slide, Mom, is one that's Mom's shared with me, and boy, I found it very interesting. So Mom, I'm gonna let you describe this a little bit. Oops, you're muted, Mom. Try again. You're still muted. There you go.
Then we're good. Sorry.
That's okay.
So everything on this earth vibrates. And it's so interesting that these numbers represent, I believe the word is megahertz, the vibrational energy. And Wes has found some awesome information from Dr. David Hawkins regarding these vibrational energies and emotions and stress and how those affect us physically.
Really important. One of the great lessons for me has been to tackle my emotions and be more attentive to the level of stress that I'm dealing with or how I combat that stress. So this was really interesting to me. Let's listen to Dr. David Hawkins describe the scale that he developed here, the ultimate conscious scale.
A new emergence of awareness is dominating the whole field of human consciousness with profound implications for everyone. This is a thermometer, and the presence of God, the presence of love, is what accounts for the calibration. The same with light in a room. There's not two different things, light and dark. There is intense light. As the light gets lower and lower and lower, it gets dimmer and dimmer and dimmer, and then it's harder and harder to see. There's only one variable, and that's light, the presence of light. That's the only variable. There's not two things, light and dark. The only reality then is light, and light is either present or not present, and it's present to varying degrees. So the analogy is that the love of God is like the light. Up here, the love of God is quite intense, and down here, it diminishes and becomes progressively darker. When this happens, the human emotion that goes with it goes through the whole panorama, from an ecstatic state, there's a state beyond ecstasy, a blissful state of absolute serenity and stillness. As the calibrated levels come down, you see the shift of emotions. And below 200, we notice that these emotions are classically negative and painful.
It's a really, really interesting concept. And if there's one thing I'd like for you to take away from this is that you can decide and choose to raise your vibrational frequency. You can work with yourself and other means to help raise that vibration and bring yourself to a point where you're having more acceptance and willingness versus pride and anger. That's really a personal choice. I'll tell you, for me, I started a new routine, a morning routine, about a month ago. And I'm not sure I recognized that I was actually controlling my own vibrational energy, but my routine was that I'm waking up every morning and having a nice mile-long walk that's a pretty vigorous uphill climb, and I'm listening to praise and worship music along the way, and I can tell you that it has truly made a difference in my mindset throughout the day. And so when we think about our vibrational frequency, there's all kinds of ways that you can change that, and or seek to kind of just have a positive impact on your own frequency. But tell me, does this make sense to everyone? Is there questions here? Anybody have a testimony or a story to share?
Well, I want to share.
Go for it.
Gratefulness is a little bit different from thankfulness. So in my prayer life for the last 6 months or better,
I'm sorry, Mom, I muted you. I didn't mean to. Try again.
shall I start again?
Go right ahead. Yep, sorry.
Okay, gratefulness is different from thankfulness. And in my prayer life, for at least the last 6 or 8 months, I've been using the word grateful in place of thankful. And that came about when I was looking at somebody, counselor on TV, that was saying start a grateful jar and put every day something you're grateful for in that jar. And then at the end of the year, around Christmas time or anytime families together, go through it. And then my other favorite that I got from one of my studies is when it says letting go, surrender, trust, accept, receive, be the star that Creator created us to be. And STAR stands for surrender, trust, accept, and then you can receive and rest. So that's your STAR anagram. And trust equals peace and joy.
Stress will develop inflammation. It's a big contributor to inflammation. And so that's a good way to think about that. When you're feeling stressed, think about inflammation and that silent killer. There's an example here. I'd like for us to listen just to a few seconds of it, not long, of a frequency, a vibrational frequency of unconditional love at 528 megahertz. Let's take just a few seconds to listen to this before we move into the rest of the lesson.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah, take a deep breath and close your eyes and just tune in to this unconditional love. It's very interesting. I hope you enjoyed that and that made a good example for you. Okay, so here's the lesson today that we were all promised, and this is going to be talking about targeted care. And we started this slide off by saying America's top health concerns. And the resource that we were using to get this scale was WebMD.com. But Mom and I had kind of struggled with that idea. And so we said, you know what, let's name these America's preventable top health concerns, because each one of these, we believe, is absolutely preventable. And if you look at these, and while we're talking to these, we're going to show you some systems, some body systems that you correlate with, but you can certainly see that number one for both men and women is heart disease. And what system is that talking about? It's the circulatory system. And then we see breast cancer or cancer, and osteoporosis, which is your structural system, and stroke, which is, again, your circulatory system, but also your nervous system. Depression, COPD, autoimmune, and diabetes are all very prevalent in our society today. Here are all the systems that these top 5 health concerns are related to. And so the idea that you're suffering from one of these diseases or symptoms could very well mean that these systems are struggling and have struggled for a number of years before these symptoms actually began to show. And as a matter of fact, Mom, I believe you shared with me yesterday that you can be out of balance for as long as 5 to 7 years before an outward symptom actually shows up.
Yes.
And that's amazing that you can go that long without knowing that you're putting your body into a stressful mode, that it's out of balance and is not able to maintain that harmony. So let's review these body systems and supporting herbs and nutrition for each: the circulatory, the nervous system, the immune system, and respiratory system. This targeted care for these 4 body systems supports prevention of all 5 of the top health concerns. Go for it, Mom.
So the health assessment, when you look at the circulatory column, it talks about, are you eating less than 3 servings of fruits and vegetables daily? Well, that's a lifestyle habit. And many of the questions on the assessment are related to organs and what has to heal from the inside out. But some of these are lifestyle habits that can create a much faster rebalancing and healing. Stressful lifestyle. We all have stress. It's not so much the stress, it's how we cope with it and how we respond to it. A diet high in meats and grains. Look at your portion controls. A ribeye steak is 2 servings. So we're eating way more than we need to. And fried foods, and especially if you eat fried foods at a restaurant, that oil, that grease has been used over and over again. And we just need to really limit fried foods. And then exercise. And you know, some people will say, well, it's too hot for me to get out and walk. Well, if there's a mall close by, you can walk in the mall. If not, there's certainly some things that you can do in your air-conditioned home.
Each one of these indications are on a part of the health assessment that we'll be sharing with you.
Mm-hmm.
So the package, Nature Sunshine and their professionals and doctors have put together an awesome package that have the basics for a healthy circulatory system. Ginkgo and hawthorn, CoQ10, super omega-3. That's your fish oil, that's your omega-3 oil that comes from fish. It comes from ground flaxseed. It also comes from raw walnuts. So those make really good parts of your everyday habit. And then there are some other products that go along with that. So if your blood pressure is a little out of balance, there's a special formula. If your cholesterol is a little out of balance, there's a special formula. And then the cardio, the Solstick Cardio, has the nitric oxide, which is so important for our body and our health. It's the same thing that's in the Rejuvenate. Nervous fatigue formula, you're going to see that over and over again. It's an awesome formula that really applies to several systems in our body.
So as we go through these, and as I went through these with Mom last night, I was like, oh, well, it's interesting. I'm actually have 2 of these products in my regimen now. I love the nervous fatigue formula, and I'm also doing the blood pressure X. And if you look back at the packet, I don't do the packet itself, but I do the super omega-3s and the CoQ10. I have some different combinations that replace the ginkgo.
And the nervous system. So what are these indications? Stress again, difficult getting to sleep or staying asleep. Are you a worrier? If we're anxious and worried, I tell people I believe that makes God cry. Are you irritable or angered? That's usually related to liver. That's that frequency. And then are you drinking too much caffeine? A little bit of caffeine can be beneficial, but we don't want to overdo it. And here again, pay attention to the lifestyle habits, because we've been taught that our everyday lifestyle can have more to do with our health than our genetics.
This goes right along for me with the vibrational scale. And you can read each one of these and know that which part of the scale you're in if you're experiencing some of this.
And the nervous system package. This one has some awesome herbal formulas, the Stress J. And if you folks aren't familiar with these formulas, look them up on the Nature Sunshine website and see what's in them. The Adaptomax, that's a really good supportive herbal formula for both adrenals and thyroid. The Nerve 8 capsule, Miss Jewel can talk about that all day long. It's one of her favorites. And the NutriCalm has some B vitamins in it, in a base of passion flower, hops, and valerian, which are all calming nutrients.
And again, I'm just testimonial today, I guess, but in my regiment, I don't do the actual package, but I do a Stress J. I have the liquid extract form. And the Adaptomax has it's a combination, but it has ashwagandha in it, and I use ashwagandha every morning. It's wonderful, wonderful stuff.
Right. So you might need a little bit of extra support. Brain Protects is with Huperzine A, such good protection against age-related memory loss. If everybody we know would start this nutrient plus some good omega-3 by the time they're 30 or 35, I wonder if we would even know about dementia and Alzheimer's down the road. There's that nervous fatigue formula. That's really just for burnout, for fatigue, and chronic stress. And focus attention. This is a capsule. You can open it and put the powder in some yogurt for children. I just had a question on chat to talk a little bit more about the liver. We'll come back to that in just a minute, okay?
Oh, cool. I missed it. That's really cool. Somebody used chat.
So for the immune, the indicators for a less than functioning immune system. Have you been sick? An illness more than twice a year? My definition of that is you're in bed with a fever, you just can't function. It's all you can do to get up, go to the bathroom. Here again, not enough fruits and vegetables. Those are your vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. And then if you've used antibiotics, that's going to reduce the function of your immune system because it uses up your probiotics. Air pollution. We're all exposed to some air pollution. But people that are in the highest category of exposure are beauticians and auto mechanics. And then recurrent yeast fungal infections. And so many times when you say yeast infection, we always think of women and vaginal, but look at your fingernails, look at your toenails. And this is true for men and women.
Oh, that's really cool. Fingernails and toenails actually is supported by collagen too, right?
Yes. So here's the immune system pack. That VSC, that's a virus that is geared toward viral. The C stands for Chinese formula. The TCM stands for traditional Chinese medicine. Elderberry D3 Fence. Have we not heard lots and lots of information about elderberry in the last 6 months? Yes, we have. And then the formula called Immune Stimulator. This is an awesome package to feed and to support our very important immune system.
All of these are in my regimen and have been since the pandemic started. I hope that you're all taking time to support your immune system and your reactive.
Yes.
So Silver Shield.
Yes.
Silver is antiviral, antibacterial, antifungal. It really can be used topically or internally for any kind of infection. I use a Q-tip, and I Q-tip Silver Shield in my eyes, nose, and ears every day because that's where germs can enter. The Trigger Immune is a little bit different formula. It's traditional Chinese medicine. And so those, what you see there, weak, pale, easily sick, prolonged illness, that would be a formula best for those kind of symptoms. Olive leaf. Don't you love olive leaf? Olive leaf is rich in quinine. And you've heard a lot about that during this pandemic too, haven't you? And lymphatic drainage. Our lymph system doesn't have a pump like our heart. Exercise and movement moves those lymphatics, and we need more movement. So under the health assessment for respiratory indications, look at those lungs pumping. So have you recently used antibiotics again? Look at your tongue. Do you have a heavy coating on your tongue? That could be indication of that yeast and fungal. Heavy mucus production, congestion, less than 2 bowel movements a day. Every time you eat, you should have a bowel movement. And more air pollution. We're just absolutely know that air pollution, especially like an example, when you pump gas in your car and you breathe in those fumes, that's an extra dose of air pollution, isn't it? Yes, it is. And keep in mind, the respiratory system and the immune system are partners. So anytime you have a symptom from respiratory, it's evident that we need to work on that gut and that immune system.
Wow.
Here's the respiratory system package. It has a formula called lung support, which is another traditional Chinese medicine. Bronchial formula. ALJ is abbreviation for allergy. However, it works for, it's a great symptomatic formula. It also comes in an extract, the liquid. I use the extract, but this is a packet that can make a huge difference in that respiratory system and keep it in that state of homeostasis.
One thing just occurred to me, Mom, because I keep this pack in my regiment actually, but I wanted to encourage everyone that, most of these packs are developed for a 30-day regiment, but I don't necessarily use them that way. I'll use them for a week at a time or 2 weeks at a time, and then I'll keep that on hand in my cabinet for some other times where I want to focus on respiratory. So what I'm saying is I actually kind of have a recirculation of my product that I keep on hand, and I'll use things at certain times or certain months. I don't do them all at once, but that ALJ really is one of our favorites.
Yeah. Wes, I'm so glad you said that. Go back to that slide, because like you said, they're 30-day packages. But for people like a client that has just come in and has just become aware and wants to really work on their body and their balance, these system packages, they're recommended for 3 months the first time we're addressing these symptoms, because the rule of thumb is 3 months for the body to rebalance. But you're different because you've been in this preventive maintenance mode for a good while. And so using them like you use them is perfect.
Good, thanks. Perfect analogy.
So other support products, Histoblock, sinus support, EF stands for ephedra free, and the breathe activator, again, is a traditional Chinese medicine. And I would mention here, there are some awesome essential oils that can be support products. And if you do not have an essential oil diffuser, I would encourage you to get one. There's an essential oil called Breathe Free that would fit in this category.
I have my lavender on right now at my desk, by the way.
All right. So in the natural health world, keep in mind that up until the early 50s, all drugs were plant-based, and now they're chemical-based. But for every prescription, every drug in the drugstore, there's a plant with that same medicine without the severe side effects. And in Germany, doctors write you prescriptions for these herbal remedies. So we have choices. Knowledge is power.
Talk about the source for a minute, Mom, for this.
The source for this one?
Well, Clell Flowers.
Yeah, this Clell Flowers is a pharmacist, and he was with this company, Nature Sunshine, for many years. He advocated herbal medicine. He's got a couple of books out on this, Medicines and Their Alternatives. So I would encourage you to look up his little books, and he's also got one on the side effects of drugs.
Thanks.
So back to the pillars, the daily essentials, the 7 that are so important: keeping clean and green on the inside, make sure our body composition is clean and green. And now we've just talked about targeted care, and all of that builds up to optimal health.
Right. We're going to hear from Dr. Jay Vanden Heuvel on this next slide. This is just a quick wrap up of the series. And this is Dr. Jay talking about the 7 essentials, but he's also got a few guests here giving testimonials. So let's listen along.
This core product pack addresses the key nutrient gaps in our diets: digestive enzymes, dietary fiber, vitamins and minerals, omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, and probiotics. It's making a real difference in the lives of people all over the country.
Well, I have loved the 90-day challenge. It's been great for myself and my family. We've been on herbs for a long time and taking different things, but I think we had some gaps and some holes because all of us have felt more energy, and one of the things that I think has made a big difference is our essential fatty acids that we probably weren't getting enough, and it's been terrific to help my son focus in his schooling, and all of us too. I notice the difference just in how my brain feels, and that sounds funny, but I feel like my brain is more alert and more on.
I've been on the 90-day challenge now for a month, and I have lost 8 pounds. I no longer am craving sweets. I cut down on carbs, and I'm eating more vegetables, and now I have the energy to walk half hour every day, and I didn't have that before, so I'm really happy.
Just during the day, I've just seen the energy level and that fogginess that they talk about that has really disappeared.
I am so energized when I talk to somebody who's been on the 90-day challenge and they come with these great reports to me. It just makes my day, and it just empowers me to tell more people, because I'm just thrilled to see people who were satisfied with a mundane life thinking it was normal feel good again and realize that they were accepting mediocre rather than just a wonderful life.
The 90-day Habit of Health Challenge, in my estimation, is one of the best tools Nature Sunshine has today. If I could pick 6 products that are going to hit 90% of everything that's going on out there, and the big things like inflammation and oxidation, the 90 days hit it dead on. Those 6 products are right where they need to be. Those are the 6 that I would utilize, that I would have picked if I had to do it myself, that I think cover every aspect of the health crises that we're dealing with.
My apologies for having to listen to part of that again, but Dr. J really is standing by this, what you heard them call the 90-day challenge, which is the habit of health. this is just a quick review of the product choices again in a different format. You're going to get a review and we'll send all this again in our follow-up email to you. Let's move on to cleansing and detoxing, Mom.
Okay. So it's all about removing toxins and rebooting the microbiome. It's about foods and the dietary suggestions that we made for cleansing and detoxing. And that naturally supports our pH balance. That's our acid-alkaline balance, which is the key to reducing inflammation. We learned to take in plant-based enzymes supports that pH balance and detoxification of the liver. And right here, since we said liver, I must go back to that question about anger and the liver. There's definitely that vibrational energy of emotions that affects the liver. And those are anger and grief. So I would love to talk to you more about that specifically for your husband and to make sure that I answer your questions in detail. So we'll make sure you know how to get in touch. And all of that pH and removing toxins and rebooting the microbiome are directly related to these systems that we talked about. Okay? And here's just one example. It's a 30-day package put together specially, Detox Basics.
Good deal.
If you're not big on swallowing pills, there's one called Ultra Biome Detox. That's a powder you put in water and drink, and it's right tasty.
Good. And the last part of the series?
Targeted care, direct aid. And this assessment can help you, can empower you to absolutely take responsibility. It can help match the quality products with the system in your body that needs the most attention. It's a good reference, and gaining insight on your own, that's taking responsibility. But then it's also important to follow up with certified naturopath for personal. Every one of us need a facilitator, a helper. And I hope that I can be your helper.
So that wraps up our series on this transformational habit of health. And we've taken an ABCD approach to 7 essentials that everyone should be doing on a daily basis. That we encourage you to think about cleansing and detoxing maybe 2 to 4 times a year, and to always be attentive to just having your own assessment for the targeted care that you'd like to have. And so thank you everyone for just having a great 3-month series. This has been something that has enlightened me a bit in terms of all the studying and work that I've done with Mom putting these presentations together. We want to thank Dr. Jay Vanden Heuvel and Stephen Horn for helping us support us in some of these presentations. And we just encourage you all to take all that you can from this, share this approach, this ABCDs with others, ask genuine questions if they're open to learning more about integrative or natural health. And Mom and I would be happy to jump on a call with you, to share with someone, to support. Certainly look forward to doing more of these transformational talk shops in the future, and we'll be doing more of those on a monthly basis.